one of the top pass rushers available in this year's draft. Love watching this guy play at the University of Michigan. He is none other than Chase Winovich. Good to see you, sir.
It's great to be here. Great to see you again.
Thank you. Exactly. Good to see you again. They're back there in Indianapolis. Although I was stuck in a booth, I was watching you run around on the field. Before we get to all that, do you have a favorite cereal?
Yeah, without a question. I don't even know how it hasn't been brought up yet. It's just disrespectful to the cereal. And if I was them, I'd probably sue.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Okay.
Waffle Crisps. I mean, hands down, the best. How can you pack so much sugary goodness into like cereal? And it's not even about just the cereal.
Yeah.
You got to factor in how it pairs with milk.
Of course.
And the waffle crisp it pairs really good because like if it's like kind of crunchy, you get like a more crispy waffle. But if it's soggy from the milk, it also tastes good.
Well, I've just been informed by our coordinating producer Don Bowie in my ear that waffle crisps have been discontinued, though. Are you aware of this?
We gotta fact check this.
Are you eating outdated waffle crisps?
So,
Because we gotta be
just-
careful about this.
I was inspired by playing Fallout as a kid. Shout out to Bethesda and. Okay. So I just was inspired by so I just went out and I just bought a couple years worth of waffle crisps. Just you got to be safe. You can't take too many.
So if a team wanted to throw you off in the interview setting at the combine, they should have just given you that information that waffle crisps has been discontinued.
Oh, I would have been. I don't even know how to react right now. So, but, I prepared for this, so I'm ready. I still have another 2 years left or so, but I rationed. I figured I could squeeze out at least 5.
What is the strangest question you were asked at the combine, Chase Winovich?
People, I guess, had done some research, and I told myself, I wasn't going to go dive into this, but it wasn't just one team asking; it was probably at least 5. So,
and that is
just asking about my date with Madonna's daughter. Was something that was brought up a bunch. So
how is that immeasurable whatsoever?
I think it's one of those things where you go in, and I felt like my reputation and my personality, like more so my personality, had kind of preceded me. So because people see in the media and like what you show the world is kind of limited. Even though I was trying to be authentic, and I went in there and I try to present this front that. I care about football. Like I'm trying to add value to your organization, because you only get 15 minutes in the formal ones and about the same in the informals. So I try to make that impression. And they came in and they tried to get me more so poking at that section of my life and the one that's like out there kind of in the media.
So Madonna's daughter, Lourdes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, she went to Michigan.
She did.
Okay, and you dated her.
So yeah, it was I went on a date with her. Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually a funny story. My parents and my family were messing with me. I think it was freshman year Christmas.
Yes.
And so they were just giving me a hard time saying like, oh, you can never go on a date with her, because like they had read an article that was saying something that she was there. And so I messaged her, or I found her email. And so I emailed her and told her I was trying to join the School of Music, Theater, and Dance. And so one thing led to another, and we went on a date. So that was about that.
Were you not trying to join the music and dance?
I was considering at the time. I wasn't very good. I really didn't have any idea what was going into that. But
okay, so it was you're a college kid trying to get a date. Is basically what you're saying.
Right. So yeah, my grandfather always gave me some advice. He said, "Get the job, then figure out how to do it." So, I figured I'd pitch her on trying to join the School of Music, Theater, and Dance, then learn how to sing and dance.
Okay. But you were one and done. That's over.
So yeah, that's over with.
Is this
she lives in New York City now.
Is that how you answered the question in the combine? Did we just get when you were asked about it?
That's basically it, right? Yeah.
Huh. But you could also say, look at the tape if you want to ask about whether I care about football.
So I tried real hard to make a good impression. I even was watching some TV show, and they had taught how to do magic. It was like basically like exploding fingers. So after the date was over, and at one point she was like, "I'm hungry." I was like, "What do you want?" She's like, "These appetizers look good." So I ordered every single appetizer that was on the menu. I was like, "We'll take one of everything."
So it didn't work.
And so it didn't work. And then afterwards, the magic part was you had to put this powder on each finger.
Okay.
And then you snap your fingers and it makes like an explosion.
Sure.
Very impressive. And so we're walking outside, and I did it. And like her eyes lit up. She's like, "Whoa, like what was that?" And so like I was like, okay, like I made an impression on her. And then she's like, "Do it again." And so I was like, And I can't, like, it's not how that works.
One and done. Del Tufo, you should take a page out of Chase Winovich on your next date to do one of those things. What do you think?
Magic tricks, can't do it.
We can't?
No, I'm not
at age
coordinated
53?
enough.
You're not coordinated enough?
You need coordination to do
Which is
magic.
great for the guy who is actually working the soundboard right now. Great to hear that he's not coordinated enough. That's wonderful. So that was the strangest question you were asked at the Combine. Who did you meet with at the Combine?
So I met with a bunch of teams. I met with basically every team informally, and I met with probably around like 10 or 11 formally.
Sit down.
Yeah, sit down.
Were the Steelers one of the teams?
No.
Did they not know?
Well,
do they not
think,
know where you are from?
I think there's a technicality with like just talking to some teams, asking them like, because like I try to be straight up with them because you know I expect them to be straight up with me at least as much as they can be strategically. So I approach it, you know, just asking them like the teams that didn't formal interview me, like what's up with that, like just messing with them. And some of them would be like saying sometimes like if you don't have any character questions and like, you know, it doesn't necessarily correlate between getting drafted, you know, and having an interview. There's not like that correlation.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you just don't know. That's just the way the draft is.
Okay, very good. But you're from Western PA, right?
I'm from Western PA. I'm like 8 miles south of where the Steelers practice and stuff. So I always joke and say, if you know, I would just live at home, save money on rent. My mom would make me breakfast in the morning at 6, 7 in the morning, get some coffee, go about my day.
Okay. Is it true, growing up in Western PA, you were a Buckeyes fan? Is that a true fact?
That is true.
What the hell, Chase? What the holy hell?
It was one of those things where, for me, Penn State was dealing with that whole, you know, like the whole Sandusky thing. And it was like, if I went there, I would have kind of had to associate myself with that. And I knew Coach O'Brien was probably going to be leaving. So like they were kind of eliminated from my running. Pitt, just not having a stadium on campus and them not offering my brother a scholarship. I always, you know, felt some bitterness.
Okay.
You know, just about that. But honestly, it was one of those things where I just took a visit to Ohio State, Pitt, and Michigan. Those were my final three, and I just fell in love with Michigan. Just everything about it. They showed me the Union, and I still remember it. How I forget his name, but he was an engineer at Michigan or architect, and at the Union they have a pillar or like a statue of him, and he's looking towards like the football, you know, like the athletic campus, and he's in his athletic garment. And then on the other side they have a, you know, him, but he's in his academic gown and he's looking at the academic campus. And like for me, it's like that aspiration to be like, you know, the ultimate man, like the as best as you could possibly be, something I aligned with.
Well, when I went on campus, a foot of snow fell. I'm from New York City,
Right.
so I'm used to being in snow, but a foot of snow fell, and it was so damn cold, and I still fell in love with it too. And I'm like, this is the place where I
There's
gotta
just
go. I
something
felt
special about it.
I did feel that way.
Yeah, I sound, you know, anytime I talk about Michigan, I sound like a propaganda piece because
Well, look,
I literally can't say anything bad about it.
you and I have been accused of being of the same thing, but you grew up an Ohio State fan? Like
So,
you're watching,
yeah,
you're rooting against
my brother
Michigan as
played
a
at
kid?
Bowling Green,
Okay.
and for me, it was one of those things where I grew up every single Saturday going to, you know, watch. I was playing football on the sideline, just playing my own games. But I grew up going to Bowling Green and as a Falcon, and you know, just growing up kind of like with that, you know, Ohio mentality. And then Terrell Pryor went there, and just for me, like seeing a Western PA kid just go and do big things on like a national scale kind of inspired me, and like I, you know, correlated Ohio State and you know, just coming from Western PA and being in that spotlight. So
Okay. So you're so reasonable, Chase.
Thank
You're
you.
a reasonable guy. You're just laying it all out on the line like that. So I can accept all of that. And then of course your love of the University of Michigan was confirmed
Right.
when you heard a pregame speech in September of 2016
that was a great one.
by somebody. Who was that person? Chris Brockman? Were you there that day?
I think that was you. I was there.
You were there, right?
You had an
I was there.
out-of-body
It was- yeah,
experience.
it wasn't pregame though, right?
No, it was the practice the day
You're
before
right,
the
the practice,
game.
yeah.
Now, Harbaugh labeled it a top five. Was he just was that a top five speech?
It was.
Okay, by the way, you can be honest with me, Chase.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean-
I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of good speeches, but like I'd say like yours in particular, I liked like what you talked about, like, you know, almost that like ideology of like, this is why you came to Michigan. Like we came here with this vision of where things should be. And it's confirmed. Like you talked about that too. Like you knew that when you walked into the football facilities and you met with Coach Schembechler Schembechler and just seeing how like everything operated. And it was the same way for me. Like even at like Michigan's lowest point and not making a bowl game, during my freshman year, like you always clung to that aspiration to just, be better, be the best, like this mission. And so it's cool.
I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. So many people say that Harbaugh is not the guy to take Michigan where it needs to be. I pound a table in a different direction. You're a guy who's been through the program. What do you think?
I disagree completely. I think like being around Coach Harbaugh, like he has so much depth to him. Like if you knew him on like a personal note, like there's one coach, and I think if we have time, I'll take you on the inside of that.
Sure.
But like on the other note, it's like he's just so crafty, and he even admits this. Like he's just, even if he's not like a creator, like he's not creating new offensive schemes, like he's an improver. Like he can take anything and most anybody, and if you're willing to buy in and drink the Kool-Aid, as they say. I think I'm a great example of that. I came in as a 205-pound inside linebacker, and just buying in. He came in my freshman year and just buying into what he had to say, and in his mission and his speeches of outworking everybody. You can accomplish great things.
What do you want
to go on the inside? This is a story I haven't really spoke of, but I'm gonna share it with you guys.
Attaboy, Chase Winovich.
Anytime like going into this, like there's like a mystique about Coach Harbaugh going into this meeting, and it was my sophomore year, and I had pulled my hamstring, so I wasn't playing, but I was hurt. But like I was so far down, like on the depth chart at that point, because like I was hurt and it was in camp, and that Coach Harbaugh was still so invested into my success, and he pulled me into his office one night, called me in, and it was so weird. I don't think a candle was lit, but it had that feel, like it was like the light was kind of dimmed, and he's sitting there with his tortoiseshell glasses, and he had such compassion and such, like, it was weird to feel that empathy from him, and that's when I knew, like, he really did care about me, and that's what I came to Michigan in the first place. I didn't want to. I wanted that feeling of love.
What did he say to you? Can you recall?
It was for me, it was more so the sentiment, but of like the thing. But he just asked me, like, kind of like sympathize with my position, just about being hurt. I think he reflected upon like a story when he had broke his arm, and he had just became the starting quarterback, and like sometimes like you take this dip, but it's not about that. It's about the process of coming back. It's a process of discovery about yourself and learning.
And it helped you turn a corner.
Yeah, it helped me turn a corner, and it didn't happen like immediately, because like with injuries they take time. Mm-hmm. But like eventually over time I was able to kind of apply that advice. And when you're fighting and you're swinging basically, and that like someone has your back, and like eventually it's going to work out, and you have that confidence, it's a great relief.
Chase Winovich here on the Rich Eisen Show. You've got your cap on at Wino.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you for the correct pronunciation.
Well, I mean, I don't want to, it's the evaluation portion of your life right now. I don't want people to think at Wino. You're not saying at Wino, but it's messed up. Wino is your Instagram handle on your cap right there. Okay. So we're all good on that front.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this too. I said this to you backstage. I'll say it again. Watching you play, with your passion, you could see it. And then when you were hurt, maybe before the Ohio State game, me and all my buddies were like, we got to get Winovich there. I mean, because you were really a heart and soul type player. We could feel it. We could sense it. And I think a lot of that has to do as well. I want to bring this to the fore. What you did for the Chad Tuff Foundation, Chad being Lloyd Carr's grandson, who died of brain cancer, that you dyed your hair orange, and you got Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, to dye his
Hurst, Evan Bush,
everybody.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
For me, I was actually inspired. First off, I always wanted to give back. That was always kind of part of like my greater plan, was to get in this position and for me, like whenever you're in this position and you want to go put yourself out there, there's a lot of risk involved, because when you make yourself a target, just things can go wrong. And if especially you play bad, then you're the guy that A, the media is going to be blaming, and B, like if you go look at my Instagram after the Ohio State game, just like they're going to go comment on my picture, just like not other people. And sometimes that's just the way it is. So for me, like, I knew I always wanted to give back. I was inspired by this idea I seen on YouTube where it's almost a tax to be in this position. You gotta kind of give back, a certain percent of just this position back into the universe for being this blessed. And so I reached out to some different people about kind of doing a partnership with them during the season. And I'm pretty creative with my ideas, and Tammy Carr was a perfect fit because A, they don't get a lot of government funding, so everything that we did would have a pretty profound impact, and like that money was like it was needed, and like through efforts like this. And B, it's Michigan, and C, like they're just great people. Tammy Carr is one of the best people I know, and I know she's a big fan of yours. So going through the season, I pitched her on some ideas. We settled on, it's tough because like you can't, you don't want to like, I don't know, be controversial with it. Like you don't want to make anybody mad. It's like, it got to be a super specific way that you can raise money that works with compliance. And so the hair was kind of like what separated me from a lot of other people. And it could be seen from television. And so we said, with Chad's favorite color being orange, let's do it. And so probably like 10 days, a week out, a bunch of players bought in. Coach Brown dyed his mustache, and I think we ended up raising about $250,000 after it was doubled.
Man. Well done.
Which is it's crazy.
Good for you. Good for you. Really, that means a ton. Obviously not just for your community, but to show who a team would be getting. It's not just the guys who are going to go try and wreck the play. You're going to try and make the world a better place too. When was the last time you cut your hair?
So the last time, you get trimmed up and conditioning treatments, and
when you say that, you're not when you say you don't mean me. You don't mean, because you know what I mean. Like,
you trim your hair
careful.
too. Like you don't have
no, I do.
hair.
I do actually get my hair cut every 2 weeks. Believe it or not, this is a high maintenance situation. It's a little frustrating.
That's more than me. Wow, it's tough. It's tough having no hair. You would have thought that would be harder to have.
Oh, Chase, one day maybe you'll figure that out. But so it's how often what is the maintenance situation?
So the maintenance is probably about at least once a month. I'll go to like a professional salon and I'll get it like deep condition treatment. So maybe some maintenance, some like slight trimming up.
Okay.
But it's really just about like trying to wash it at maybe every other day.
Okay.
Just because you get sweaty but it is a pain in the butt sometimes because it's just a lot of maintenance.
I bet it gets knotted up.
I
And
can
everything.
see why old people have short hair.
No, hold on.
He's not calling you old, Rich. Just for the. Let me
it's
just
not
clarify.
about me.
He's not calling you old.
It was more so like older ladies.
Just like older people.
Thank you.
Right.
Because you are represented by the same firm that represents Clay Matthews.
I am.
Can he give you tips? Has he given you tips on what to do?
So it's funny. It actually was just like my agency in general, Athletes First. They're, this place I work out at Proactive, they said they had Von Miller and Clay Matthews were like their two marquee edge rushers. And I said, say no more. Like, if you want to go and try to be the best in the game, like this is the agency, this is the place you work out. Just like for me, that's what it was. But yeah, we're actually working at this is in infancy. I want to throw that out there.
Understood.
But we're trying to get something going with Jack Link's Sasquatch. And, we got to pitch this idea to Clay. So if he sees this, he might be a little upset that I'm saying
okay.
this. But our vision is kind of like have Jack Links, and he's kind of like I don't know, either like hanging out with me or whatever. And then Clay walks in and he sees Sasquatch and he's like, who's this imposter? Like, why is he?
I like this idea. I think there's a germ.
And like Clay tackles him or something along those lines.
Okay, we can workshop this a little bit. Don't worry, because we're all part of one team. Hey, Chase, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Keep in touch. Let's keep in touch. We're now officially in touch. Way to play the way that you did at Michigan, and again, what you did for the Chad Tuff Foundation is really inspiring.
Thank you.
You bet. So check out Chase Winovich on Twitter at Chase_Winovich, and on Instagram at Wino. Okay, at Wino. It's not at Wino.
Yeah, it's at
For all
Wino.
those people trying to
Right.
anonymously tag this man with a red flag, it's at Wino.
Yes.
Okay? There we go. And then I'm sorry about your waffle crisps, sir. Sorry when they break that
Yeah,
news.
it's rest in peace.
Okay.
I'll be in mourning the rest of the day putting my black clothes on.
When it rests in peace, it's still crispy in milk. Chase Winovich here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.